This is actually a Giulia at the other end of the scale. This is what you see and what you get if you only want to spend $60,000 on a small Alfa Romeo sedan.
Thinking of buying a car? Well, there are a couple out there you might want to avoid at all costs. These cars have earned their spot as the worst sellers in America, and for good reason. From terrible performance to bad value, they just don't make sense for anyone who wants a reliable ride. We'll dive into the two cars that are honestly so bad. It's hard to imagine why anyone would buy them. Trust us, you'll want to hear why these are best left on the lot. Body? Let's be real. Buying a car in 2025 is already kind of a gamble. Between sky-high interest rates, half-baked EV infrastructure, and automakers cranking out innovative features nobody asked for, the average car buyer needs a PhD in patience and Google searching. But even in this chaotic market, there are some cars that just don't move. They sit for months. Dealer lots become their natural habitat. These aren't necessarily bad cars on paper, they're just completely out of sync with what people want. Whether they're overpriced, impractical, poorly timed, or just plain ugly, these 12 cars have earned their place on the list of America's worst sellers. And honestly, if you're buying one at full price right now, well, you might want to reevaluate your life decisions. Let's take a closer look at the automotive misfits currently collecting dust. Number 12. The Dodger car. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. The Charger used to be the cool kid on the block, the muscle car that wasn't trying too hard to be retro like the Challenger, and not quite as obnoxiously loud as a Mustang. But fast forward to today, and the Charger has become the guy who peaked in high school but still shows up to every party talking about his glory days. With over 300 days of inventory just sitting around, it's painfully obvious buyers are over it. Sure, it's got raw power, and if you're into screaming V8s and doing donuts in a Walmart parking lot, it'll get the job done. But in a world where gas prices still fluctuate wildly, and people are looking for hybrid tech or at least something fuel-efficient, the Charger feels like it's from another era. Plus, Dodge announced it's going electric soon, so why would anyone buy this gas guzzler full price? Knowing a cooler, cleaner version is right around the corner? It's like buying a flip phone in the age of iPhones. If you're dropping serious cash on a Charger in 2025, you're either really nostalgic or really not thinking it through. Number 11. Mazda MX-5 Miata. Now let's talk about the Mazda MX-5 Miata, a car that's been universally adored by driving purists for decades. Lightweight, rear-wheel drive, and with the kind of handling that makes twisty roads feel like a roller coaster. The Miata has always been the underdog that could punch above its weight. But here's the thing, nobody's buying it. With almost 300 days of supply just sitting, it's clear that even love from car nerds isn't enough to pay the bills. The problem isn't that the Miata is bad, it's that it makes absolutely zero sense for the average buyer today. 2 seats, no cargo space, questionable winter performance, and a price that gets dangerously close to compact SUVs that can do it all. For the same 30 grand you'd spend on a Miata, you could get a roomy hybrid with more features, better fuel economy, and space for actual adult humans. Unless you live in California and have a third car for fun weekend drives, the Miata just doesn't fit modern life, which is sad, but also understandable. Number 10. Audi A3. The Audi A3, which somehow manages to be both a luxury car and completely forgettable. It's like someone took a Volkswagen Jetta, gave it a fancier badge and a nicer interior, and hoped no one would notice. Spoiler alert, people noticed, and they're not impressed. With about 275 days of unsold stock, the A3 is officially that starter luxury car that no one's starting with. In a world where people want value for money, the A3 feels overpriced for what it offers. You don't get the prestige of the bigger Audis, and yet you're still paying a luxury premium. On top of that, with electric and hybrid options flooding the market, a small gas-powered luxury sedan just isn't exciting anyone. Buyers are asking, why drop 40 grand on an A3 when a Tesla Model 3 or a top-trim Camry hybrid gives you more tech, more range, and better resale value? This car isn't bad, it's just boring, and boring doesn't sell anymore. Ouch! Are you hoping you won't see your car in the list? 3 down, 9 left. Number 9. Alfa Romeo Giulia. A car that's basically a supermodel with commitment issues. It's undeniably gorgeous, sleek lines, aggressive face, and Italian flair that turns heads wherever it goes. But underneath all that beauty lies a reliability horror story that scares off even the bravest buyers. With over 250 days of inventory, it's clear most Americans would rather not risk it. Alfa Romeo hasn't exactly earned a reputation for durability, and while the Giulia drives like a dream when it's working, you never quite know when it might throw a tantrum. Add in a luxury price tag and questionable dealership support, and you've got a car that buyers admire from afar, but refuse to take home. Owning a Giulia is like dating someone incredibly attractive who constantly flakes on you. Eventually, you just give up and swipe left. Number 8. Cadillac CT4. The compact luxury sedan that thought it could challenge the Germans but ended up lonely on dealership lots, staring at nearly 240 days of unsold inventory. It's like a mid-tier streaming service, polished, well-produced, but who really cares enough to stream it? Cadillac tried to hit that sweet spot between sporty and luxury, but with BMW 3 Series and Mercedes C-Class constantly hogging the limelight, the CT4 gets lost in the shuffle. You've got tech, sure, but no one remembers who rolled it out. Folks walking onto lots are thinking, could I spend a bit more for a BMW or save a bunch for a Camry? That question turned into a deal breaker, and suddenly the CT4's fate was sealed, not because it's bad, but because it's forgettable. What really hurts the CT4, though, is the lack of a clear identity. It doesn't offer the thrill of a true performance sedan, nor does it provide the kind of luxury that would make it stand out next to a Mercedes or Audi. The interior is decent, but not jaw-dropping, and the ride quality is fine, but not memorable. It's like the car is stuck in a weird middle ground, where it doesn't have enough to truly compete in the luxury market, but also doesn't come with the practicality or value of a non-luxury option. In a world where everyone wants something special or unique, the CT4 just doesn't have that spark. It's a car you forget about the moment you walk out of the showroom. And unfortunately, that's a problem for any car trying to make a name for itself. Number 7. Chrysler Voyager. A minivan that's trying hard to stand out in 2025, but ends up blending into the sea of sedans, hatchbacks, and crossovers. With 229 days worth of stock, families clearly aren't buying in, and I hardly blame them. It's like the Voyager said, I'm practical, but I don't offer the latest infotainment or safety gear, and the market gave a collective shrug. Want a minivan with drama and cargo? You could get a Pacifica with plug-in hybrid cred and slick tech. The Voyager's closer to a budget-friendly van, but in an era of aggressive pricing and feature wars, that's not good enough. It's the minivan equivalent of wearing socks with sandals, and not in a retro, ironic way. Number 6. Porsche Taycan. Luxury EVs are supposed to be the future, but try telling that to the Porsche Taycan. This car should have been a slam dunk. It's sleek, it's fast, it's electric, and it has that Porsche badge that makes people feel like they've made it in life. And yet, nearly 230 days worth of these things are just sitting on dealer lots, looking confused. What happened? Well, for starters, it's expensive. Like, I could have bought a house in 2015 expensive. You're dropping over $100,000, and for what? A car that looks amazing but can't go as far on a charge as a Tesla that costs half as much. Range anxiety isn't just a myth. It's real when you've got $100,000 invested and still need to map your weekend getaway around charging stations. Porsche even had to slow production because sales were so underwhelming. That's not just a red flag. It's a neon billboard flashing, "Wait for a discount." So unless you're rich, don't care about practicality, and just want to flex at the golf club, the Taycan isn't exactly the hottest buy of the year. Number 5. Maserati Gracali. Now let's talk about the Maserati Gracali, because nothing says, "Why did I do this to myself?" Quite like buying a luxury SUV that depreciates faster than a carton of milk. With nearly 370 days of unsold inventory, this Italian stallion is looking more like a barnyard goat. The Gracali is meant to compete with the BMW X3 or Audi A3, but priced higher, and with a badge that screams, "Look at me." Problem is, people are looking, and then walking straight to the Lexus dealership. Why? Because with Maserati, you're paying for the name and a bit of flair, but you're also gambling with reliability, resale value, and service costs that could ruin your month. And let's be honest, it's not like anyone's really out here saying, "My dream car is a mid-size Italian SUV with OK tech." Sales dropped massively for Maserati across the board, and it's not hard to see why. The Gracali might look the part, but it's a diva with no fan base. Number 4. Mitsubishi Mirage G4. Sliding down the price ladder, we find the Mitsubishi Mirage G4. If this car were a lunch, it would be a slice of cold white bread. Cheap, boring, and entirely unfulfilling. With over 200 days of unsold inventory, the G4 is practically begging for a clearance tag. And yet, some poor souls still walk out of dealerships with one, thinking they've scored a deal. In reality, they've bought one of the slowest, flimsiest cars on the market. Sure, it's dirt cheap, but there's a reason for that. The interior feels like it was pieced together from leftover Tupperware, the tech is ancient, and acceleration? Forget it. This car takes 0 to 60 as more of a suggestion. Even worse, Mitsubishi announced they were discontinuing it, and instead of causing a rush to buy, the news just made people yawn. If you really need a cheap car, you're better off finding a decent used Civic. At least that has some personality. Number 3. Nissan Z. Let's jump back into the sports car lane for a second and talk about the Nissan Z. On paper, this thing should be hot. Twin-turbo V6, rear-wheel drive, manual transmission option, and a look that blends classic Z nostalgia with modern edge. But with 216 days of inventory piling up, clearly not enough people are taking the bait. Why? It's kind of a weird value proposition. It's not cheap enough to compete with a Mustang or a GR86, but it's not premium enough to steal buyers from a Supra or a BMW. Add to that the fact that it doesn't have the newest tech, gets May fuel economy, and isn't exactly tuned for daily driving, and you've got a car that's exciting to look at but hard to live with. The Z is fun, no doubt, but fun alone isn't enough in 2025, especially when there are other options that do fun and practical in one package. Number 2. Volkswagen ID4. Then there's the Volkswagen ID4, an electric crossover that was supposed to be the great EV equalizer. VW hyped it up as the people's electric car, reasonably priced, roomy, practical. And yet, nearly 300 days of inventory are just chilling out, unmoved. Part of the blame goes to the infamous door handle recall that temporarily halted production and sales. That alone shook buyer confidence. But even after the fix, interest never really rebounded. Why? Because competition in the EV space is brutal right now. You've got Tesla, Hyundai, Kia, and even Chevy throwing out compelling alternatives with better range, better tech, or just a better track record. The ID4 isn't bad, but it doesn't stand out either. And when you're asking people to ditch gas for good, not bad isn't going to cut it. VW tried to fix things with better lease deals and discounts, but the buzz is gone, and the inventory speaks for itself. Number 1. Audi Q4. And finally, let's look at the Audi Q4 e-tron, the electric SUV that should have had it all. It's got a premium badge, modern styling, and a comfortable interior. But what it doesn't have? Sales. With over 270 days of unsold inventory, the Q4 e-tron is officially on the not worth full price list. It's not that it's a bad vehicle, it's just that for the price, people expect more. More range, more features, more excitement. Right now, it sits in this awkward middle ground between affordable EVs like the Hyundai Ioniq 5 and premium standouts like the Tesla Model Y. And to be fair, it kind of drives like a middle child too. Polite, capable, but ultimately forgettable. You can spend the same amount on a gas-powered Q5 and get better range and faster refueling, or spend a little more and get something that turns heads. The Q4 e-tron? It's just there, and buyers are clearly looking elsewhere. So why exactly are these cars flunking their sales lessons and getting left behind in 2025? Common grounds. It's a mix of problems, like a recipe for disaster no one wanted to taste. First up, many of these rides live in pricey, overhyped segments. We're talking luxury cars and electric vehicles with sticker prices that make your wallet break a sweat before you even turn the key. When you're dropping 5 figures, and sometimes way more, buyers expect mind-blowing performance, cutting-edge tech, and brag-worthy prestige. If a car can't deliver all that, it's basically doomed to sit on the lot. Then there's the issue of supply and demand. And let's just say the supply faucet got stuck wide open. Dealers are drowning in inventory, with hundreds of days' worth of unsold vehicles just collecting dust. Someone definitely forgot to turn off the tap, flooding lots with cars nobody really wants. It's like a store overstocked on last year's fashion. No matter how much you cut the prices, customers are just not biting. Add to that the fact that better alternatives exist, often at better prices. Want an electric car? Tesla's got the hype and infrastructure. Hyundai and Kia have upped their game with affordable EVs that offer solid range and features. And on the luxury front, buyers are flocking to brands like Honda and Toyota for value-packed vehicles that don't drain your bank account or your nerves. Why settle for a car that tries but falls short when something better is just a test drive away? Reputation baggage is also dragging some of these models down. Maserati, for example, has reliability issues that make buyers nervous, even if the Gracali looks fantastic. The Nissan Z has the style and heritage, but its tech and practicality leaves something to be desired. When word of mouth spreads meh, that's not exactly a glowing recommendation. External factors like tariffs and timing have thrown a wrench into the works. Imported models facing potential U.S. tariffs have buyers and dealers hesitating, worried about price jumps or availability. And with the market shifting so fast, hesitation means missed opportunities and unsold cars piling up. The car market in 2025 isn't just about building a decent ride anymore. It's about hitting every mark perfectly, or else you're the last one left at the party. Now, what are the smart buyers doing while these slow-selling cars sit and gather dust? For starters, they're demanding serious discounts. With months, and sometimes almost a year of inventory piling up, dealers are desperate to move these vehicles. That means buyers aren't just getting sticker price deals. They're often walking away with freebies like extended warranties, super low financing rates, and sometimes even random perks like free floor mats or oil changes. When the supply outweighs the demand this much, the power definitely shifts to the buyer's side. Another move savvy buyers are making is switching to mainstream brands that are moving faster and sticking to what works. Toyota, Honda, and Ford have been killing it by keeping things practical, reliable, and affordable, exactly what most people want. These brands don't get caught up in flashy promises or overhyped segments. They just build cars that people need and can trust. So while the luxury and niche EVs struggle, mainstream models keep cruising off the lots. And then there are the buyers who are simply waiting it out. They know the market is volatile, especially with tariffs looming and possible price hikes on imported models. So instead of jumping in right now, they're sitting tight until the dust settles. Once tariffs are confirmed, or not, or when end-of-model year sales roll around, these buyers swoop in to score big bargains. It's a classic wait-for-the-right-moment strategy, and honestly, it's working pretty well for those who can afford to be patient. The smartest buyers right now aren't just rushing in to buy whatever's available. They're playing the long game, hunting for deals, and sticking with brands that know what the market wants. It's a tough time to be a slow-selling car, but a great time to be a savvy shopper. Catch you in our next video.